Spoiler warning. Spoilers for Deltarune Chapters 1 and 2. If you haven't played the game and you do care about spoilers, click off now. With Deltarune, there are going to be 7 chapters in total, but only the first 2 are out. Here's what I bet will happen in the unreleased chapters, which I've made before we get them. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share for more content. Every view means so much to me. Anyways, without further ado, I'll start you off with a recap of the first 2 chapters. Deltarune Chapter 1 starts with Chris, the playable character, and Susie discovering the Dark World. Here we meet Rousey, the Prince of Castletown, and they learn that they are prophesied to banish the angels, heaven, and save the world. Chris, Susie, and Rousey face off against the wrathful Spade King to seal the Card Kingdom Dark Fountain, saving both worlds. However, the story is far from done. In Chapter 2, Noelle and Berdly go into the Dark World with Chris and Susie's darkness from the Card Kingdom. An unused classroom are brought over to Castletown, making the bustle of life for the first time in a long time. This time, the Dark World visits Cyber City, which has its light world counterpart at the library computer room. The group fights Queen, who wants to open more dark fountains to create a paradise for lighters. But Rousey reveals that the roar will happen if too many dark fountains are open, which will end the world. Getting to relent and allow a dark fountain to be sealed. After that, we see Chris opening another dark fountain in their living room, but I don't think that they're the knight, the mysterious figure convincing the rulers of Dark World to open more dark fountains. I feel like Chris is more or less a red herring meant to keep us off a scent trail. However, in the weird world, the player through Chris manipulates Noelle into killing many darkness, including Berdly with her ice magic. This allows Spamton to take over, and while there's no fight with Queen due to Rousey informed her about the roaring earlier, Spamton and Neo, usually the head boss of a normal route, become the final boss of a weird route. Now that we're all caught up, it's time for Chapter 3. We know that Chapter 3's Dark World will have its light world counterpart be Toriel's living room, and that Toriel will be brought into it. Also in Spamton's sweepstakes, we got a few teas to that Dark World. With the images we got, we can see that it takes place in some sort of movie studio with a weather channel and 2 weather reports, a mafia flick where we need to knock some shadowy gangsters known as Shadowman's socks off quite literally before they start a band, a character named Tenna, most likely the antenna of a TV, and Mike. It seems that every chapter's final boss is foreshadowed by the Shadow Crystal boss of that chapter. Chapter 1, Jevil spoke about Queen, which makes sense as Queen is a laptop and she could have been in the Card Kingdom classroom logged up for Jevil to know her. And Chapter 2 has Spamton talk about Mike. It seems that Spamton has a bit of a love-hate relationship with Mike, as he mentions on the Damn You Tenna page that everybody's gotta pay except Mike, so it's likely that Spamton had a falling out with Mike's entire crew. Also, Spamton, who was a darker version of a spambot, and thus a swindler, called Mike a criminal, talks about turning castled screens into castled screams. It's clear that Mike's counterpart in the light world is Toriel's TV. Also, the cops are called the house, so we might get Undyne. As Spamton is based on spam advertising, it would make sense that he would exist in the Chapter 3 Dark World long enough to interact with Mike. Here's what I think will happen in Chapter 3. Chapter 3 starts with Chris, Toriel, and Susie waking up in Mike's studio. They meet Rousey, and Mike is interested in giving them an acting gig. So it's a chapter you'll need to perform in different scenarios. And there'll be a raid system similar to Undertale's boss fight with Meton EX, even though it's throughout the entire chapter. And if you get the raids up high enough, Mike will take you on a tour of his private office. There he'll reveal that his assistant Tenna is giving him all the inspiration for movies and TV shows that he creates. It's this mysterious figure named the Mike, who whispers ideas into Tenna's ears that Mike turns into inspirations, and the Knight has some friends who would like to see the movies and TV shows that Mike and Tenna have come up with. All we have to do is open another dark fountain. It's now showtime. With a battle against Mike, you either have to increase the ratings past a certain point or defeat him in combat. Of course, rules card will show up at one point or another, causing another battle where tacks on another weird accent, and so forth until Chapter 7, where he's completely unintelligible. Also, Tori will play a role. I'm thinking that she will be using fire magic when she's a guest star, and that she'll react to Rousey looking like Adriel. This could possibly confirm or deny a connection between Rousey and Adriel. I'm sure that there will be a battle with Undyne or two, possibly playing homage to a fight Untail. For Tenna's abilities, he'll be able to get and relay messages, and as he's in contact with a knight, he might reveal something, even though the knight might not like it. As when Spamton tried talking about the knight, he suddenly stopped speaking and started talking normally while begging of someone who got offended by the mention of a knight. With Mike, I'm thinking his abilities will be time manipulation, like with a TV remote, but only for things native to his dark world. For example, if he hits pause while shooting at the party, they will still be able to move, but the projectiles will be frozen in place. By manipulating time, Mike could have only a few unique attack patterns, but he slows them down, speeds them up, stops them, swaps between them partway through, or plays it backwards. That would make a very fun and unique boss battle. I'm thinking that Chapter 3's Shadow Crystal boss will be an homage / parody of Woody from Toy Story. Here's where I'm thinking that. Toby stated the Wild West segment is in danger of being cancelled. Seriously, one of the only segments that we tease, it may end up cancelled. Well, that's how cowboy shows go, I guess. It will be finished with something locked away, like how Jevil is a Joker card and Spamton is a spam bot, and the boss will be based on the now cancelled Western show. Similar to how the Wild West genre on TV went on a decline, as well as Woody's Roundup, which was cancelled in universe. Also, Toby has made a cover of Friend Inside Me, which is a parody of You've Got a Friend in Me. They will be upset that their show got cancelled, and for leaving the fans hanging, they want to leave the executives hanging. For a battle mechanic, I'm thinking that they will implement Orange Soul mechanics, in that there will be a lasso attack where the lasso turns orange before turning on the screen, force the player to move or take damage. Also, some of their attacks will be orange. As for the Woody parody spare condition, I'm thinking that if you raise enough during the battle to get the finale aired, then they can be spared. Oh, and Chapter 3, I have an idea for what its weird route might look like. With Chapter 3's weird route, it will be different from Chapter 2's weird route. There's a reason why it's officially called the Weird Route or Side B instead of nicknames like a Snowgrave Route or Genocide Route, both of which are adapted with Chapter 2 Weird Route. It's because Weird Routes aren't supposed to be inherently darker than the main route. It's possible for us to get a rare Weird Route of a future chapter that's far happier, or one that's far longer, as it seems like Toby Fox might troll speedrunners with a Weird Route that promises to be faster but is in fact much slower than the normal route. It's also possible the future Chapter 2 might not have a weird route at all, just so Toby can send players on the wild goose chase for an alternate version of a chapter that ultimately doesn't exist. With Chapter 2's Snowgrave route, it was designed so that unlike Undertale's Genocide route, you would have to be deliberately seeking it to go on it. Due to how well hidden it was, the Snowgrave route was only found via a very contrived stroke of luck, and was dismissed as a creepypasta at first, but nope, it's real. For Chapter 3's weird route, I'm thinking that you will need to tank ratings deliberately, which will cause the studio to go under. Mike will go to his office, hope to get a clue on how to save the studio, and Tanner will demand that the Dark Fountain be kept open, so that there'll always be hope. Once you get to Mike, he will blame the player for what happened to his studio. They'll visually disheveled with a cracked screen. He will then lunge at the party, call it the harder version of his boss fight, but Tender will demand that Chris be kept alive as they can open Dark Fountains. After that boss battle, the Dark Fountain will be sealed, like in the normal route, but Mike's studio going down will have consequences for the rest of the game. Those consequences I cannot foresee what, so I can't tell you. Also, there's how Chapter 2's event will affect Chapter 3. I'm thinking that if you do go down the Snowgrave route, that the police will be more busy with Birdley's murder of Toriel's tires, resulting in Undyne not appearing in Chapter 3's Dark World. However, if you back off and put Spamton in the Neo body of a Snowgrave route at the last minute, he'll be at the last possible chance. He will be furious. Spamton will attack you, and he won't turn to stone, or at least he'll turn to stone very slowly, as he fits in the TV Steve Darkworld more than Lazar fits in the library Steve Darkworld. That might let us see Spamton EX, which will turn out to be even more powerful than Spamton Neo, possibly with both Spamton forms HP and up to 8,000, and Spamton EX have enough defense to be at least as bulky as Spamton Neo. Next, I think we should talk about Chapter 4. With what we saw of Chapter 4 in teaser material, we only see the light world. There's a theory that Chapter 4 has no dark world content, but they don't feel like that's likely. With Chapter 4, I feel like there will be an extended light world sequence at the start where you interact with the people of Hometown. However, as it's Sunday in Chapter 4, that would be the perfect chapter for a church-themed dark world. Here's what I think will result the foray into the church. You will have to visit Flower King Asgore's flower shop, and you see Noelle talking with Asgore. It turns out that Rudy Holiday, Noelle's father and Asgore's best friend, has died from his illness. As much as I don't want him to die, let's face it, nobody wants him to die. I feel like he's too good from a sinful light world. And it's clear that he doesn't have much time left, as he is hospitalized in the worse shape in Chapter 2 than he is in Chapter 1, which was a day before. Once you learn that, Asgore will take Noelle to the church for the service, and you will get Toriel and Susie to come with Chris to the service. Shortly after service wraps up and people begin to leave, we see someone slithering about the church, all for one brief frame. Then the Dark World is created, trapping Chris, Susie, Toriel, Asgore, Noelle, Mrs. Holiday, and Alvin in that Dark World. For the church Dark World, I'm thinking that it will be a grand cathedral that feels heavenly, with an endless sea of clouds, pillars of marble, and lush gardens and pouring fountains. The darkness of a cathedral are a cult led by a figure known as the Bishop, who offers enlightenment for the desperate. However, partway through, you enter the depths, where the sea of white clouds is at the top and it's now a raging thunderstorm. Also, the heavenly aesthetic will be replaced with a hellish atmosphere, with black brick illuminated by fire and lava. Ralsei will look up and see a massive statue of a titan, making them freeze in horror. It will be revealed that the bishop worships the titans, and that the bishop intends to release them. After the battle, the bishop reveals that he worships the titans out of fear, not even being able to overcome their emissaries or the night. Also, while in the Dark World, Mrs. Holiday opens up to Noelle. It gives her one order: find her. And by her, we talk about Des, Noelle's missing sister. And that Mrs. Holiday learned of Des' survival is sure that she's in the Dark World somewhere. For Shadow Crystal boss, I'm thinking that they're some sort of heretics that use greed soul mechanics. For Weird Route, I'm not as sure as for Chapter 3. Perhaps that would be the chapter that doesn't have a Weird Route. For Chapters 5 and 6, there's a good amount of possibilities for where the Dark World could be located and how it's seemed. There could be one in Flower King where the flowers become as large as trees and the place becomes a lush jungle but all the trees are flowers. One at the Holiday Manor for a haunted house on an icy mountain. One located inside the grocery store where the owls become owls for a beach-themed Dark World. However, my biggest bet for Chapter 5 would be that it would take place at Icy's Pizza, which will create a Dark World that's a massive restaurant for a survival horror experience. Perhaps the freezer would become a cold storage area in order to allow for an ice area in that chapter. And you're being stalked by the darker version of Icy, who is indeed real and eats kids. And whenever he says, "Just follow for Braber," his eyes roll in the back of his head and he froths at the mouth. And you're supposed to avoid him, as if he catches up to you, he will devour you in one bite. At the end, you'll get a chance to actually fight him, perhaps by exposing him to the heat, which will melt him to the point where he's downable and his attacks aren't immediately fatal. For the Shadow Crystal boss, I'm thinking that they'll be based off a discontinued recipe. However, I'm thinking that that's not as important as why Toby has decided to release the middle 3 chapters as a batch, because Chapter 5 is gonna be the game changer. I'm thinking that once Icy is defeated, it gives a key to the room where the Dark Fountain is. The fun gang enters the Dark Fountain same as usual, but the way them is a knight who congratulates them on being its pet and then battles the group. After defeating the knight, Susie's Red Buster breaks part of its mask, and when it falls off, Noelle mutters, "No, it can't be." It turns out that the Roaring Night is none other than December holiday. I'll explain why I think that Death is a knight. Here's why I believe that Death is a knight. First off, her being missing gives her the perfect alibi. Second, in Spamton sweepstakes, we get a song associated with her called Find Her. This tells us that finding Death will be important. Third, it's possible for certain beings to freely travel between dark worlds, such as Rousey. Fourth, the Shadow Crystal shows a light world version of Dark Worlds, which would allow Death to navigate and to plan where and when to create the Dark Fountains. Fifth, her being a lightner means that she can have determination, which lets her open Dark Fountains. Sixth, there's a hidden dialogue in the game's files, perhaps from someone who found the Dark World, which could explain Death's disappearance. And seventh and last, Chris is terrified of a bunker. Perhaps something traumatic happened there, like perhaps Death getting stuck there. Here's what I think will happen after Noelle sees Death as a knight. Chris frees up. They have an extended flashback sequence to when Night Death disappeared. They're exploring the bunker of Azriel and the Holiday Sisters, but suddenly the bunker caves in and Death pushes the others to safety. Azriel calls his father, and while Chris, Azriel, and Noelle are saved, Death is nowhere to be found, which resulted in Asgore getting fired from the police force and divorced by his wife. Without thinking, Chris and Noelle run up to Death. Back in the present, without thinking, Chris and Noelle run up to Death, hugging her. Death pushes Noelle off of her, who is begging her to return to the light world. Death tells her, "I can't. I still have work to do." Noelle accuses Light helps them imprison dark gods, kill everyone and everything. Death replies, "The Times promised me that they have a power to unite both worlds." Noelle tells Death, "While you're away, Dad died. Abandon your quest." Death is somber, but she falls down. Susie asks, "Noelle, how's your sister alive?" Death then explains, "When I was trapped here, I was sure that I would die. I saw my little sis. I thought of Dad. I thought of Mom. I saw the dreamers. And like that, the room I was in went darker than black. Where I woke up, I found myself in this strange place with a strange man. He nursed me back to health." This shows that Gaster is the one who found Death and gave her the mission to awaken the Titans. He called himself W.D. Gaster. And he gave me a strange crystal. It showed me the bunker. And he told me to awaken the Titans. And I could have anything I want. With all my visions of a light world, I saw how my absence affected everybody. For the worst. If only everyone was together. "It's not that easy," Rousey shouts. Before teleport away, Death tells the group the Roaring is in 2 days. That's when the festival is, Noelle realizes, but Death has vanished, allowing the fun gang to seal that dark fountain. With Chapter 6, my bet is that the Dark World will be in Asgore's flower shop. It will be a jungle, except for the giant flowers instead of trees. As the character arc will be about Asgore finally decide to move on from his broken marriage with Toriel. With this chapter, I'm not that sure what will happen, but it will affect Chapter 7. For Chapter 7, it starts at the town festival. Azriel finally home, and everything is going well. That is until Azriel brings up Death, which results in him going with Chris, Susie, Noelle to the bunker, only to find that it's home to a dark fountain. While exploring it to fight the local darkness who are its security system, Rousey reveals that he's a sole survivor of previous Roaring, and that the cycle will only continue unless the Titans are defeated. If you manage to defeat all 7 Shadow Crystal bosses, including the Chapter 7 Shadow Crystal, you will be able to unlock the true ending. After you defeat Chapter 7's Darkbound boss, the ending begins. I'll go for bad ending and the true ending. However, before I go into a different ending, I will go for what happens during both of the routes. The Darkbound boss tells you the death is going for festival. The Darkbound is seemingly close, but it suddenly opens wide open in a tremor, cracking the ground around it, and its massive arm rises out of the ground. Rowdy frees up, and the fun gang realizes that the roaring has begun. In the bad ending, you will battle death, but it will only result in her being killed. The well will freeze Gaster from it, and there will be a final battle with Titans, where you end up subduing them and stop the cycle, but it's implied that it will repeat years down the line. With the Titans, I am sure that the roaring will happen no matter what you do, and you will have to fight them at one point, as the Titans and the roaring being mentioned at all, especially as early as Chapter 2, feels like the roaring will happen and you will have to face the Titans. And I feel like the Titans being released won't immediately destroy both worlds. So while you don't have much time to stop the Titans, you will be able to save both the Light World and the Dark World from the Titans. For the true ending, the 7 Shadow Crystals will break Death free from Gaster's control. Enraged, Gaster fights the fun game, but Death fights back. You will get Death, and only for the final few battles the playable epilogue. And she will be very powerful. Once Gaster is defeated, it's on the Titans, and once the Titans are sealed by you either pacifying them, or outright killing them, we will continue a festival in both worlds, and it will be implied that the Titans will never threaten the Dark World again. Cue credits. And this time for all of Deltarune. And that's it on my predictions on what will happen in Deltarune's remaining chapters. So, what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with my predictions? Which ones do you agree with and which ones do you disagree with? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share for more content. Every view, every like, every subscription, every share, every comment means the world to me. Thanks for watching. Tyson out.